It's got to be fun to work on that infrastructure because there's just like so much volume coming through it. I felt cool yesterday because I had to help someone restore a snapshot of an RDS instance in AWS, and I was like, yeah, I can do this in AWS. Shopify's got like, I don't know. I at one point they were running off of Google Cloud, right? But they probably
Oh,
are
really?
split up across different infrastructures now. So I bet they got some crazy stuff going on.
This episode is brought to you by Smile.io, the loyalty platform trusted by thousands of the fastest growing Shopify Plus businesses to increase repeat purchases, reward VIPs, and build lasting customer relationships. Smile helps businesses become more profitable while discounting their products less. You got to be careful with the discounts. You don't want to push too hard on the discount pedal. If you're ready to turn transactional sales into lifetime customers, start building a more profitable business with Smile.io today. What's this additions deal, dude? You're on the fence. You Hedge booked a ticket? Is that?
I did.
Am I correct in understanding that? You Hedge booked it?
I did. I didn't want the tickets to run out, so I bought one. But I also was like, hey, Shopify rep, do you have any discounts for this? Even though I already booked one.
You realize that's probably illegal to like Hedge book something in Canada without
Is
an
it?
intention of intending. I believe it probably is. Yeah, you might.
There probably is a lot of weird things that are going to become illegal between the US and Canada soon, aren't there?
Yeah, like they might think you're trying to slide by a tariff or something like that by like pretending you're going to be there, not actually being there.
Dude, I was wondering about the tariffs. Like, am I going to have to pay Shopify more money?
I don't think so.
Is it like digital
I don't.
tariffs?
I don't. I saw some people talking about that too. I don't think it is.
Oh, okay.
But
That's good.
yeah, I think I looked it up or I saw somebody that looked it up. It didn't.
Enough to not be worried about it.
Yeah, it applies to goods, I think. What?
Perf.
Yeah, so I think that's true. Goods and not services. I don't know exactly what a good is, but I think it's
Me either.
more of a physical.
Because digital goods are a thing.
Digital goods are a thing. That's true. That's true. Look, don't quote me on that. I'm not a tax attorney. Okay? I'm not your lawyer. I would like
Not
to know if you're
financial
going
advice.
to additions though at some point in the next few months.
I want to, and so it's probably
Do
happening.
you though?
I do.
Do you,
I,
though?
I think it sounds awesome to meet everybody that I just read from on
Yeah.
Twitter all the time, and then also like talk to the product team
Yeah.
would be cool. Try and corner someone and ask them what's going on with exchanges.
Right. Yeah, it
That
was
would be fun.
it was the first time in a long time that because the last few Magento conferences I'd gone to, I was kind of just like kind of phoning it in a sense. Or maybe it was just that I already knew a lot of people, so it was the first
Gotcha.
time I had that fresh experience of meeting people that I only knew online and then meeting them in person. It was the first time having that in a while, so it was kind of magical in that way.
I bet it'll still be magical. And I feel like one of the most fun things from the Magento Imagines were like the hackathon beforehand and like talking to all the other devs.
Yeah.
And it seems like that's like all this is.
Yeah, it's crazy how dev focused it is. I don't think there's a hackathon, which now that you mention it, is kind of weird.
It seemed like they had some like actual sessions where you could do things. So maybe not a hackathon, but like
Right.
let's all set something up together. I think that's pretty cool.
Right. There's like working sessions. I know I went to at least when I went to like a flow working session where you were in a breakaway room and there was tables and everybody had their laptops out. You were going through like an actual building an actual thing.
Generating some flow logs
Yeah. Yeah.
in the millions. Is there like a booth setup situation at all, or what is it like?
There are like stations that are kind of like booths. Yeah, I'd say they're booths, but they're like cool stations where, there'll be like a couch and like a stand with somebody at it and a sign and, basically, yeah, they're booths, but they're like the better kinds of booths that aren't just the basic booths. They're like, when you'd go to imagine like there'd be the fancier booths that have like a couch and like 7 sales reps and like, except instead of sales reps.
You gotta walk around and not make eye contact with anyone.
Except instead of sales reps, it's like product managers. There's like 3 product managers. Yeah, and then you're like, so what are you the product manager? And they'll tell you, they'll be product manager of some specific thing. And it's kind of awesome. It's kind of like.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing.
Do they have swag at the booths?
I think they do, yeah. I know we've talked about the swag thing, and I was a little foggy. I'm still a little foggy on what all the swag was. I probably wasn't as
more focused on the swag. That's probably the right approach.
Yeah. But swag's fun. If you have fun with it, you have fun with it. You know what would be a good swag category I think we haven't seen enough of is fidget toys.
Oh, that are silent.
Silent ones, super loud ones. For you, definitely silent ones. But like, I'll be standing next to you, like blocking anybody from giving you loud fidgets, intervening hastily. But yeah, like my kids have.
What was interesting just now is when you said swag category. That sounded like a lot of fun to say, so I just wanted to say that real quick.
How'd it feel? How was that experience?
It was nice. It just kind of goes.
Nice. You could almost shorten it down to swagagory or something like that.
Swagagory.
and then make that a business.
There you go.
Make that
entire business based off of an amalgamation of words.
Dude, I think we have our side hustle idea. Build out a little Shopify store called Swagagory.
There you go. We sell digital goods. It's just this word.
Reimagining the swag category. Yeah. So, by the way, got to give a shout out to Taylor. Never remember his last name, but he's on Twitter and he's always giving us shout outs on Twitter, which is very.
Yeah. Shout out to that guy. I appreciate that.
For having talked to him and tweeted with him 900,000 times, you'd think I'd remember his last name by now. But he's the main Taylor. The main
Shopify Taylor.
But yeah, like I think early on with the podcast, it's like those 3 dudes that actually like listen, that keep you motivated. So that's it's pretty cool.
Heck yeah.
But yeah, I booked my Airbnb today, and I got one downtown because last year I got the like the airport hotel, or like the Hilton Airport, something like that, was the main one that was listed. And so I got that, but there was like nobody there. I mean, I thought it was going to be happening, but it just wasn't.
Dang.
So
you just got your own like Airbnb situation?
Yeah, just snapped up a little, which was crazy because I was looking at a place yesterday. It was $200 or euros. I don't know why they had me on euros. And
that don't make no sense.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay, fine. That's like a bit overboard, but fine. Let me just do it before somebody takes this one and then I'm out of luck again. And then when I changed the date range, it was like I had it Wednesday to Saturday. I changed it Wednesday to Sunday, and it went down to 1:30 at night.
Ooh, so grab it.
I locked it up. That was kind of cool.
Was that Canadian dollars or US dollars?
That's a good question. It was a dollar sign, but it could actually be Canadian.
You never know. Did you do a flight through Air Canada with that coupon code?
What coupon code?
When I signed up with my Hedge bot ticket, there was an email that said, "Go look at Air Canada, and here's a coupon code." You haven't booked that yet.
That's great. No, I haven't booked it yet. Okay, great. I'll check that out. I did look up the flights, and Air Canada was the main like nonstop one, or the only nonstop one for me. And the return flight on Sunday was 8 a.m., which means I'm probably getting up at 4:30 because you're supposed to technically get there 2 hours early. So I'm going to get there 2.5 hours early to be extra safe. And then I'll just be sitting at the airport forever, so that's going to be kind of...
That sounds horrible.
Yeah.
So you're not just going to get a later flight?
If I get a later flight, there's a nonstop or there's a one-stop flight, which I sort of promised myself I'd never do any stops on flights, that you could miss them. Bad things can happen. I believe terrorists are more likely to be involved in those types of flights as well. The onboard snacks are worse.
I feel like it's quite common to have some sort of like stop on a flight.
Listen, Matt, I read on Twitter that terrorists target those flights, so I'm staying away from them.
Oh, okay.
No,
Gotcha. I'll do a nonstop then.
Yeah. So maybe I'll do that because it'll be kind of rough, especially if we.
Oh, I had a layover. I don't know if it's called a layover if there's like no time between your flights, but I flew back from San Francisco last week and landed in Las Vegas, and I was worried I was going to get stuck there because it was snowing in St. Louis.
Right.
And that airport was crazy. I guess it was like people in Las Vegas for Super Bowl or something.
Right.
But I could not get any food. I ended up going to a vending machine and just getting some like Fritos. And I just survived on Fritos until midnight.
Yep, you got to do it. All right, man. Well, hopefully we're going to see you there. But
yeah, I got to make it happen.
We got to make it happen.
Let's do it.
App
Let's
of
do
the
a live
week.
podcast.
We might be able to figure that out. I have a love-hate relationship with live podcasts because they're kind of a totally different thing and they kind of suck. But
gotcha.
But I shouldn't have said that because I want you to be. I don't want you to have one less reason not to go.
There's no reason to not go to this thing. No, I'm excited about it. I just got to figure out because I got to figure out I'm so bad at planning. That's my problem.
Yeah.
Just like that is 3-ish months away. I don't know what's going to happen between now and then, but you got to just plan your stuff.
Yeah, I'm pretty bad at it. I've put these things off enough to where now I kind of just like, all right, let me just do it. And then I just kind of, I just anxiously bang it out.
Be a little bit of an adult sometimes.
Yeah, approaching being an adult. I did try Operator actually, last thing before we get into some true Shopify content. So Operator is the ChatGPT thing for controlling a browser.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Because I had upgraded to the $200 one for the deep research, which was ultimately kind of sucked. And then I was like, oh, I gotta find an excuse to use Operator before I downgrade again. But I hadn't thought of one, and I was like, oh, it can do the booking for me. That's like the classic use. That's like the canonical use case. That's the demo. So I said, hey, find me a thing. It was horrible. It took okay, it went to booking.com and it went to pick the date ranges, and it spent like a minute and a half clicking, and you see it as it's going. So it clicks the date range, and then it goes, oh, reselecting, and it reselects it, and then and you're looking at it, and it's like way in June, but it finally figured it out. It took way too long. And actually, it found this hotel, which was a nice hotel called Reverie, and it said it was $200. And I was like, wow, that's surprising, because when I had looked, all the hotels were like $400 a night, especially the ones that were downtown that were kind of nice.
Yeesh.
And so I was like, dude, it found something. That's amazing. Like, it's totally worth it. And then I was like, okay, tell me what the overall cost is for it, for the whole stay or whatever. And then I see it looking, now all of a sudden it's on the wrong date. It's on like June 6th or something like that. And then I let it chug, and it goes, okay, the total amount is $1,000 something for the Hilton something. It was on a totally different hotel on a totally different date. So I was done with it.
Lame.
Yeah.
I feel like there's like we're in the situation where everyone's battling to release new stuff quickly, and it just like has become slop to some degree. Is that how you feel?
Yeah.
The Operator thing?
Yeah.
Did you have any good experiences with it?
None whatsoever. I mean, that was all I did, There's got to be some use cases that it finesses, and I mean, I'm sure it's going to get there. It did give me a tiny bit of a glimpse into just imagining when it's going to be really good in the future.
But every time you do it, don't you have to go in and tell it what you want it to do? So I feel like the way that it would actually be useful is if you could tell, like, voice, like, pick up your phone, push a button, do this for me, and tell me what you come up with, instead of like sit down at the computer, open the
Right.
browser to the operator thing, type out the thing that you want, and then watch it do that thing. Like
Yeah.
you're just watching it do
Yeah.
something that you could have done.
Yeah.
So like I don't know. I feel like there needs to be another magical leap before it's like I'm just kind of like, man, with all of this stuff that's been coming out lately.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like something will come out that's kind of like hyped, or it seems cool, whatever, and then it'll disappoint you, and then something else will just catch you by surprise. Like somebody mentions Cursor, you go try it, you're like, holy shit, this is good. And there wasn't this big splashy announcement, like you just saw it kind of randomly. It's very hit and miss, like which things are good. And
Yeah, and the only difference with Cursor is they like it's still the same base model. They just integrated it well. I
right.
think that's the part that's weird. Is like we
Right.
need better integration to make it actually useful.
Right.
Like anytime I have notes, tell the model my notes, and then it knows where to put those so that it can retrieve them in the correct context next time. Like that's all the stuff that you could still have the base model, but then you also have this layer of
Right.
organization around the outside. And I think that's the part that once that gets hit, it's like, okay, this is actually useful for me, like all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like building stuff on top of the base models. And I think that they added support for O3 Mini in Cursor, but then I saw one of them tweeted that they said most people still prefer Claude 3.5, even though, O3 Mini is supposed to be a much smarter model. And I think I did test it in Cursor once, and yeah, it was weird. It wasn't that
Yeah,
good.
anecdotally, everyone that I've talked to who does any amount of code generation likes Claude the most
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah, yeah, totally. The only time I switch back to GPT is if Claude times out, and then I go, okay, Claude's tired. let me switch over.
Sport tired Claude.
But actually, I haven't gotten timeouts like that in like a week and a half now.
Nice. It's that $1 billion investment they're getting.
Oh, did they just get some cash money? That's good.
Yeah, they got a bunch of money.
Nice.
I forget from who, but it's a lot.
Probably Gil. Probably.
Yeah, he's got that Shopify
He's
money
got the
now.
money. No, I got to meet Gil. Still haven't actually met Gil. I didn't run into him last time. That's on the to-do list.
Got to make that happen. Oh, the investment was from Google. So Google invested $1 billion
Oh, that's weird.
into Anthropic.
Wow, that's weird.
It is weird. Everyone's like messing around with each other right now. And
Yeah.
then Microsoft is like not going to be working with OpenAI as much. I saw something like that.
Right.
What's happening?
Well, I think there was like a clause in the OpenAI's contract with Microsoft that was that like once they reached AGI, whatever their guarantee was to use Microsoft or for Microsoft to have unlimited access or something like that wouldn't be valid anymore. And supposedly, like I think they might have triggered that clause, or they're close to some weird thing like that. So I think they're starting
Interesting.
to look for other options. Talk about a weird.
Satya is too smart for that.
Yeah. Yeah, he seems like a smart dude. All right, so Live Metafields is the app of the week.
Ooh,
This dude Ole Thorup on Twitter.
Good name.
He's the guy that I have no idea what country he's from. It's got to be a cool country. I feel like it's a Nordic situation probably.
must be.
But he's the dude that built the Espresso bulk editor, and this one's called Espresso Live Metafields, and it launched pretty recently. Basically, what it does is it generates metafields, like for example, best-selling product. It has metafields in different places. So it'll have product metafields that are live. So it'll have like average number of orders on this product, or
So live meaning there's some calculation behind the scenes that updates these metafields.
yeah, it's refreshing them continually, and it'll have like number of items reserved in carts across the site, so that you could display that on the product page. You know, you say, oh, this is in 15 other people's carts, you know, act fast or whatever.
Oh,
Right?
interesting.
And if you pull up the site, there's a bunch of cool, because I'm going off of my pen and paper here, so I don't have the site in front of me, but
Pull that up.
there's a bunch of cool ones in there, and like it has like most popular variant, and then there's also flow integration. So some or all of the meta fields have flow triggers, I guess, for when they get updated and things like that. It's like this very simple idea, but I think he's done a really good job of implementing it, and it seems to have some really nice tie-ins.
Yeah, this looks nice because if you've got those live, like, now I'm looking at this, I pulled it up, and the first use case that you think of is like, okay, display some of this information to the customer. But also, you can have the meta field show up in the product list in the admin, so that lets you filter like
Right.
stuff for you to look at from the admin side of things too. That's cool.
Right. I guess it also lets you, like, I guess you can't do I guess you can't do a collection on an option. So you can't do like red shirts based on like an option value red.
The access to variants is like
Right.
not there at
Right.
all, like anywhere in Shopify.
Right. So he has a way of just syncing an option to a meta field, so you can use a meta field in the collection. And then I believe it also has ways of doing like putting rolling logic into those meta fields, because you know how you can't combine like and or conditions when you're defining a collection. I think it gives you some ways to do some fancy business around that.
Gotta love that fancy business.
Yeah. So that's
That's interesting. I'll have to give that a look. See
Yeah.
if there's like some way to do some custom live things, or if like over time if he's going to be adding more interesting stuff there.
Yeah, we had a use case on this one B2B site where we have this meta field pricing situation where we're not using B2B catalog pricing because their logic is a little too complicated. So we use different meta fields on the company and on the variant to determine which price they get, and then like per category price tiers and things like that. And I'd let them know, like, you're not going to be able to sort. Like, this sort on price is not going to work for this, the default sort on price, because the prices aren't in that price field. And so we were looking into whether we could do some calculations do something with meta fields for, those different price points for different companies. So I was thinking we could either use them for that, or we could build something similar out ourselves.
So these price meta fields that you have are like probably for display on the front end, and then do you have a corresponding like cart function or something that mirrors the price?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, it's kind of a cool little solution, but you lose the sorting. And also, even if you do add support for custom meta fields for filters in search and discovery, I'm pretty sure you can't do any meta fields for sort operations. I think the sort by price just goes off of the price field. I don't think there's any way to plug that into a meta field.
Gotcha. There is a way to do, like, I have a meta field for features that you can put into the search and discovery app as filters.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that works, but
yeah,
if it's at the variant level, then probably not.
Yeah, I have to take another look. I always forget what's included in there, what isn't. I have to start clicking around.
I did something like holds a laptop or has a zipper or like fits under airplane seat. So I just made a meta field list, and that worked.
Nice.
But nobody uses filters, so I abandoned it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They don't take the time to click into them?
Yeah, just based on our click tracking, there wasn't much activity there. People mostly click into the like top level categories, and then people like scrolling, so they just scroll.
That's funny. Yeah, I feel like I'm kind of the same. Like I don't do a lot of filtering.
The only time I do filtering is when I'm shoe shopping, because I have ridiculously sized feet, and so I have to be like, okay, only show me the shoes that come in size 15, because I don't got time to click through every single one of these and then feel bad about you only having size 13 shoes.
Right. Right. But that's like a very specific thing where you've like run into a specific issue before and you know you're going to always filter in size, but it's not like you're going to be clicking into like has shoelaces filter or like color filter.
Yeah, a lot of customers make decisions based off of the silhouette of the product, like whether or not they like the way it looks.
Oh yeah.
And so they're like, for us especially, it makes sense to scroll through and just get a preview of everything.
Yeah. Good times, good times. Next up, registration flows. I built a couple of these now where, well, I just worked on a new one where it's like a registration approval flow for this hemp site where there's a couple steps. They have to like validate a phone number.
RU21.
With it, text message, that kind of stuff. And then it ties into new customer accounts, which the client, we managed to convince them to stick with that, not to do some weird external onboarding thing. But the way I did it is that like the customer registration page, there's like a progress bar. It's like email verify, phone verify, identity verify. And the first step says like verify your email. And then when you click into verify your email, it goes to the new customer accounts login, just the native Shopify login, because there's no way around that. And then once you validate the code, it just bounces you back into the registration flow.
Nice. And lucky you coming in after they implemented that.
Yeah. So that was the best way I could figure to do it, with the constraint that they got to go through the login flow. And then if they happen to log in.
That's a good idea.
Like if they happen to log in before that, which you can't really avoid, they could always do that if they get to it, then it'll just drop them right into the second step automatically based on that.
So that's how you handle it when they come back. They like if they're logged in, then you just always put them in the second step.
Yeah. Nice. And then they do other stuff, and then you set a meta field for whether they're approved or not, and then you can use that to determine if they can shop. And actually, the one thing that the deep research thing did find for me when I was trying to figure out like an app to build for B2B is it said that there were a lot of these like customer approval apps or registration like apps. And I was like, that's funny. It didn't feel like that was a category to me, but so I was thinking maybe I could do this maybe there's other people that need that type of an app.
That could be interesting.
Yeah.
Because you have some good experience with that stuff, like collecting extra information about a customer during the sign up period.
Have gotten a couple reps in on that type of stuff, so could come in handy. And the other red flag about that research I did is that a lot of people were asking for features that other apps have, but they're not available for like the lower Shopify plans. Like they wanted to mimic some of the functionality that's in Plus, or even in, I think maybe Plus or maybe the higher price tier. They wanted something that wasn't available in like the lower two price tiers of Shopify, which I was like, that's not a good idea. Like if you're going to build, if you're going to build an app, you specifically want to build something for Plus stores, especially to get started. So,
no, you're a man of the people.
No, dude.
Come one, come all. No. I will implement Shopify's Plus features as apps that are all free.
Once I get my money right, I'll be a man of the people. Show title.
Freedom hacker.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did a deep research for me to figure out what I should A/B test next, and that did not give us good stuff.
Did I send it to you?
Yeah, you sent me a screenshot of what it was doing. It was like,
it was so bad, dude.
It was like looking up like metal, like compared the Kuyana site to a metalworking website.
In the end, I don't know if I sent this to you because it was so dumb, but in the end, it was like, test your button color. And I kid you not, dude. I kid you not. Where? It was like at the end of like 30 pages. No, because What deep research does is it gives you this massive amount of content. I feel like that's why everybody feels like it's valuable
It's
because
PhD level
yeah,
because it's just
yeah,
like droning on
yeah.
forever about
But
something.
like, I always want like as small amount of actually useful, actionable info as possible. So then
Yeah,
I asked like a follow-up question to that massive thing. I was like, so just give me the most important highlights. And it was like, test the button color, test free shipping was like the second one. It was the stupidest thing. So yeah, unfortunately, I was like, damn, if it comes with
got to
something
get my
good,
button colors right.
yeah, yeah. It's like if it comes up with something good, I might have to hold this hostage for a
Yeah.
couple bucks. Be like, David, give me $5 and I'll hook you up with this
I'll release
research,
this.
or else I'm going to send it to your competitors.
Yeah. Figuring out what to A/B test is hard. And then like
Right.
you never feel good about it until you test it and then you're like, okay, that sucked or oh, that's
Oh,
interesting.
dude, how did your offsite thing go with the AI talk and everything you were going to do?
It was great.
Yeah.
I ended up I don't know if I told you anything about it, but it was me and the CMO at the company just talking about AI use cases and like telling people how they can use it for like recipes and stuff like that in their personal life to
Mm-hmm.
just get them kind of associated with what it is. And then I talked about like how it's not Google. Like your prompt can't be like how you do Google searches.
Mm-hmm.
Because like when you're doing Google searches, you type something and then you're given a list of options and then you make a second choice to like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, which one of these options is actually helpful for me? But you
Right.
need to put that energy into your prompt and then
Right.
you'll get some better stuff.
Right.
So that was good. And then I ended it by playing Dungeons and Dragons text-based adventure with the entire company.
Nice.
And it was awesome. We ended up picking a magical corporate environment and like we found a magical staff of like elevated brand like there's all these like Kuyana words and it
Right.
just like the ChatGPT like sprinkled them in through the whole thing. It was hilarious.
Oh, okay, nice. Wait, so did you do like a
I'll
tech?
send you that prompt. It's like
Okay.
it was a big prompt I found on GitHub
Oh,
and
okay.
it goes through a bunch of stuff. And then at the very bottom I was like, we're playing this at the Kuyana offsite, so sprinkle in some Kuyana things. And it did a
Nice.
great job.
That's so
It
cool.
goes through like steps and then you roll a d6 to figure out what the outcome is for one of your choices and it actually generates a Python script and runs the d6 right there and tells you if you win or lose.
Nice.
It's a fun one.
So is it like you went through the prompt interactively when you were doing it together or?
No, I didn't run through the prompt with everyone. I was like, we talked a bit about like, here's what prompts are,
Uh,
here's how it's different than what you're used to. And as an example of what a prompt can do, this was like a 5 to 6 paragraph prompt that I just copied and pasted in.
yeah.
And I skipped over it just to play the actual like outcome from the response. And
Mm,
then each time you pick an action and then it'll say like, okay, this is what happened. Now what do you want to do?
mhm.
It's a pretty awesome
Nice.
prompt.
That's cool. I'm gonna check that out.
Check it out.
Check it out. And then with the A/B test stuff, because I know you're doing like a new test every week. How's that going? Are you figuring out some good tests, or are you like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I think we have a good one right now. It's been running for a week. I need to run it for another week because what I decided was like our business cycle is a week. And so we should run it based on some number of weeks. And so we started off with like, okay, we got to run A/B tests for 2 weeks.
mhm,
The first one that I ran failed. It didn't work well. Like we noticed that a lot of people clicked the dimensions and care section,
mhm,
which is below the fold, and it's like an accordion that you click and it opens up.
mhm.
So the hypothesis was to move that up higher somewhere, and we ended up moving it into the description area, but then that made the description super long, so by default we collapsed it, and we found that conversion was worse when you were on that side, and also no one clicked the show more button.
Okay.
So we were like, all right, well that one sucked, and we probably should have realized that. But
Right.
this one that's running now is pretty good. We're just talking about our 2 year warranty by just putting 2 year warranty text there, and it's looking good.
Oh,
So I think
nice.
we'll know, like, if this turns out to be good after another week, we'll play more with like warranty language on the PDP and see if there's a better, more optimal place for it.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I can see how that feels like it would work. Like just
Yeah,
emphasizing it.
that makes sense.
Yeah. Like the first one you were talking about, I was just like, okay, I think, yeah, okay. Yep.
What does deep research think about that?
Nice. Everybody loves it. Everybody loves a nice long warranty.
Everybody loves an A/B test that seems like it's going to be successful. At least I do. I got to get those successes, man.
Yeah. You're going to start testing like super obvious stuff, like just to get some
Change all the
wins.
buttons to blue.
Yeah. What would the most obvious thing possible be that would work?
I saw one. There's another guy on Twitter, Shopify Realm. I think his name is Kevin. I also don't remember his last name. And he also has like an interview series. But his A/B test was make the checkout button bigger.
Yeah.
That seems like one that probably maybe we should try out. But it's also like how big we making this button. And then separately we have to like think about how luxurious the site feels. So I can't do wacky stuff.
Right. Have you ever done one of those like things where there's like a video of a person in the corner talking to you, like a video salesperson?
Like they just walk in from the side of the screen.
Yeah.
No,
Dude.
That would never happen.
I've always wanted to do something like that. That's funny.
I keep joking that I'm going to put confetti on the site at some point.
Like
snowfall.
tasteful upscale confetti.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The confetti's black and white.
Yeah. Like very understated. Oh man. I'm still trying to think like what is the most like bigger pictures maybe? I don't know. All right, moving on.
There's like showing making sure that the customer understands how big a certain bag is. But also I'm very bag brained. So like in general in e-commerce, I think it's make sure the stuff that's important is above the fold, which is just like a thing that people know.
Right.
Oh, one of the A/B tests that we ran a while ago that was obvious afterwards is we do still have these packing videos, and it was the last image in the media gallery. And we tested moving it up to be the second image, and that was like an obvious, like this is way better in terms of conversion. And so now it's just in the second spot. So there's some like pretty easy things that you can do when you just think about the fact that like if someone's on mobile and you have 10 images in your media gallery, not everyone's going to make it all the way to the end because people have low attention spans. So put the stuff that really shows it off higher up.
What about a really nice video as the product shot that like shows the product in action type of a thing?
Yeah.
I'd imagine.
There's a lot. If you go to like a lot of the luxury brands have some sort of really nice video in their media gallery, but it's never the first thing.
Right.
It's always like somewhere in there.
Right. I feel like that would, unless it killed your like performance, I feel like that would have to do pretty well. Just like a really snazzy. Or like
I have to talk to the creative team about like we can't have a video that's a minute and a half long and have like 4 of those on one page because people's phones will just start exploding.
Oh yeah, no,
that's not going to work.
It would have to be optimized, like maybe like 8 seconds long. That just shows it
super short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that would take an insane amount of work to actually do that for all the products, but I think that might be like, I think that'd probably work.
Oh yeah, videos on the PDP are super helpful, especially when you're showing off like here's all the stuff that you can put in this bag and like here's where your key goes.
Yeah. So I was doing some webhooks in Hydrogen, webhook processing, and it occurred to me that because like webhook processing can get expensive, you know, if you're dealing with product updates or customer updates or whatever, like that's why Flow doesn't have any update triggers because dealing with all the update webhooks are like super expensive. But then I was like, wait a minute. You could do like infinite webhooks into hydrogen for free. I don't
For
For
free.
free. I was just thinking about that. So I don't know if I must be missing something because
Well, I saw you say something about that. The one response was that probably breaks terms of service. So
yeah, the dude, and I'm blanking on his name because he's really smart. He always replies with really useful replies. But he replied that, and I was like, oh shit, I knew there had to be something. So then I asked him, I searched it, I looked it up. I was like, wait, what are the terms? Because I had to build a webhook for this like identity verification thing. It's like a low volume webhook, but. And then he never replied back. I was like, dude, tell me, like, if there's something specific here, like, tell me. I don't know if he was just trolling or what, but I couldn't find it.
if there is something, you could always use Cloudflare. I'm just going to keep mentioning Cloudflare because I think it's awesome.
Yeah, no, I mean, no, Cloudflare is great. Cloudflare is great. I'm just saying, it's not free.
It's not free. Well, kind of. I got some stuff on there that's just that I've never paid for because it's so low.
They have a
But I
really
guess if you're
high free
getting,
tier, right?
yeah, they do. And Hydrogen is free as long as you're paying Shopify for a shop.
Yeah,
Is that what it is?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Dude, let's spin up a test on your store.
Yeah, let's see.
Let's
Let's test the limits here.
let's have it trigger every single time any webhook fires, update or create, and let's just smash it and see if your rep notices anything.
Yeah, how long until someone reaches out about this?
Yeah.
I mean, I got a good number of flows going now. I feel like that generates a lot of work.
Oh yeah.
Like every time someone places an order, there's like, I don't know, 10 to 20 different flows that do stuff.
Yeah. I was doing some work on this one site that has a pretty decent volume. Like it seems to get like multiple orders per minute.
Nice.
And so I set this flow up and I was just going to like test, some stuff. So I turned it on. And then as I'm turning it on, it's getting orders run through it like every minute. And I sort of felt bad. I sort of felt like, damn, like I'm kind of using up a lot of flow usage just for testing. And then I just realized like the scale that flow operates at is
Yeah,
absurd.
it's really cool.
I'm so curious to know what the infrastructure is like. Is flow somehow isolated to your store instance? Or is it like, you know what I mean? Is the compute isolated somehow?
So when you look at the logs now, you can see a response from Shopify about the start of the webhook. And you can see like the way that the ID is structured. It's like job underscore
Right.
something. So they must have some like massive queuing system
Right.
that it's running off of. But I feel like the way that they're set up, it would be weird to have separated infrastructure. So they're probably just doing some level of permissioning and having like everything, like the resources in general available. Otherwise, it wouldn't be very cost effective to have a separate infrastructure for every Shopify store.
Oh yeah, that'd be gnarly.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
It'd be sweet to get some like insider info on Shopify's architecture at Editions.
Yeah, I'm so curious about it. And so Flow just released, now there's up to 14 days of logs. There used to be only 7 days. And Paul, I don't know if you noticed that, he posted about it on Twitter. And he
Yeah,
said that
it's awesome.
it was like, I don't know if he said it was like a year's worth of work going into kind of like re-architecting their storage around logs in order to be able to roll that out. And I was like, dude, can you like, I was just imagining how much does that 7 days worth of logs cost? Like
Yeah.
across all of Flow. It's got to be absurd.
It's got to be fun to work on that infrastructure because there's just like so much volume coming through it. Like I felt cool yesterday because I had to help someone restore a snapshot of an RDS instance in AWS, and I was like, yeah, I can do this in AWS. But Shopify's got like, I don't know. At one point they were running off of Google Cloud, right? But they probably are split up across different infrastructures now. So it like, I bet they got some crazy stuff going on.
Yeah, I have no idea. I'd be curious to know.
Did you ever get into like AWS infrastructure things?
Oh, no, dude. I I've cracked open AWS a handful of times. The navigation just drives me.
Oh, it's so bad.
It's so bad.
And the docs are bad too.
And I've never like had a project where I had to just get in there and do it. I mean, I've just done some like S3 stuff, and I really haven't ever dealt with it.
Now you don't really have to. You just have Cloudflare or Fly.io or Hydrogen, and just throw your JavaScript in there and run it, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like wrappers now, I guess. So Cloudflare is like a wrapper on top of AWS, or does it?
I don't know, actually. I kind of always assumed that they had something going on their own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to offer such high free tiers.
Yeah, exactly.
Buy again new customer accounts. Okay, so in the new customer accounts, in the order history, there's a buy again button to Yeah, so I had this customer that has a bunch of custom stuff on their front end product page, and they saw an order come through that it looked like something was broken on the product page because of how the order was coming in without the line item attributes. And then I noticed this custom attribute on the order that said from new customer accounts, and I was like, oh, maybe this came from that buy again button. And sure enough, that's what that attribute is for.
I did not know about that. I need to take a note real quick.
Yeah.
That sounds like it's gonna break some stuff.
Yeah, it did, and for this one client it did, and so then I was like, okay, I'm sure you can disable that. I was like, I'm pretty sure I've gone into the customer accounts section and seen how to disable that, but I went in there and you can't. There's no way in the customer accounts configuration deal to disable it, but you can contact support, and support will do it for you.
The secret button behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Might have to get that button clicked on my shop.
Yeah.
I have a similar issue. Remember we were working on loop exchanges?
Right.
Still working on it. A little bit late, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
But they have this option to shop on store where you can, like, you're doing your return and then you can click like, what is it called? Instant exchange. Mm-hmm. And what they do is they take you to the store front end, and their app has an app block that like intercepts the request and is like, oh, okay, this is a loop on store exchange. So they display the credit that's available at the bottom of the screen. Mm-hmm. And then you just put stuff in your cart, and then you click checkout. And then when you click checkout, instead of going to the Shopify checkout, it instead takes you back to loop. Mm-hmm. And they just send like the current cart contents with that request, but it doesn't support custom properties. So like that's a lot of, we do gift boxes with custom properties. We do monogramming with custom properties. And so it's like, okay, well,
that's an issue.
Guess we're going to have to figure that out.
Wait, so why can't they just do it to where you can just shop on the storefront itself without any weird loops? Like, why can't you just do a regular checkout? And I'm sure there's an obvious answer. I'm just trying to think it through.
I think it's because you have to actually finish the return creation on the loop side. So you're like, you go in, you put in your order number and your email address, and then you start the return. You're like, I want to return this thing. And then they give you two options, either return or exchange. And then when you do exchange, you go to the website with the little loop widget, configure your cart, go back, and then you finally finish like, okay, how am I going to send this item in and all that stuff.
And why not just give them the store credit and let them just do a regular order? Is it? I guess it's because you want...
That's an option, yeah. But it's like just a more integrated experience, I guess, and potentially better in terms of revenue.
Because you don't
retention.
Have to have
because we also have
credit card charge.
Yeah, I mean, you could return it to credit, but then you have to wait until, like, we don't give you the store credit until we get your item back. So this is just a way to be like, okay, I know that I would buy this other thing instead, so I'm just going to do it now, and then it'll all happen.
Oh, right. That's cool.
We shall see. Coming out in 1.5-ish weeks.
But wait a minute. If you're going to let them get something else shipped to them without receiving the goods yet and verifying them. Why not give them the store credit? Isn't that the same? Why not just give them the store credit immediately? Isn't that like the same?
Yeah. So we won't ship it out immediately. We'll still only ship it out when we get your product back.
Right.
It's just an easier, like, if you know what you want, you can go do this now.
Right. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, that's one of those things where like third-party integrations, like they'll be missing something, and then you're like, man, I wish I could just.
So close.
Yeah, so close. So
Yeah,
close.
we're delayed because there's different exchange APIs for if you're doing a point of sale exchange or if you're doing an online store native exchange.
Right.
So that was shenanigans. And it's still kind of shenanigans. Like they're going to unify them at some point in the midterm, but that's my goal for editions. That'll pay for the ticket if I can figure out what's going on with the exchange APIs.
Totally. That's the best way to pitch it. I did see a post about the store credit primitive being like finalized or whatever, and I didn't know exactly what that meant. I thought that there was already like a store credit primitive or something like that, but
There's gift cards, which is what we use for like when someone signs up for store credit for a return, it just creates a gift card.
oh, okay.
But maybe there's some cooler stuff like you don't have to remember, because with gift cards there's no link to your customer account, so you don't like you have to go find your email that has the gift code in it to use it. Whereas store credit would be linked to your, I imagine it would be in your customer account somewhere.
Yeah. Okay. I did do some flow stuff recently with store credit. Did like a 10% of order amount as store credit, and just did the.
Oh yeah, what does that look like?
Oh, I just did like there's
Is it a payment method?
Well, no, there's just a mutation to add store credit, and I just hit that, and it just adds it to their.
How do you use it?
Oh, that's a good question. I didn't test that.
Just hitting them mutations, baby. It's been mutated.
I hit them and dip. I hit the mutations and dip. I'm in and
Can't
out.
get any response anyway, so just mutate and dip.
Shut up. Mutate and dip. There we go. Now we're talking. That's so funny. I'm like, I have no idea. I'm an automation expert, dude. I don't actually check.
Yeah, that's beyond the scope.
Yeah, I don't deal with that silly checkout. That's funny. There's a cool GraphQL Chrome extension that this dude Fabian on Twitter created.
That's another good name. You know it's good.
Yeah, it's a solid name. I keep telling myself I should write down full names and stuff, but it just feels a little too formal. Actually, his Twitter name was Fabian Shopify Themes, so I think he does like Shopify themes. But I don't know how it works. It's a Chrome extension. When I thought I was going to have to plug in an API key and all this sort of nonsense, but it just piggybacks on top of the admin. So if you have the admin open, you click it, pops a little quick window, and then it just works. And it auto-completes and all that kind of stuff. Now,
Sweet.
You might say, why not just pop into the Shopify GraphQL app if you're in there? And that's normally what I do. But it just takes a minute or two to load. It's like the slowest loading app in the world, the GraphQL app. You know what I mean? You use that one, the GraphQL?
Yeah, it doesn't always work. There's some permission thing,
dude,
or
it
doesn't construct the thing right.
Permissions nightmare. It always does this thing where it loads twice. Like it initially loads, and then once I start getting ready to type, it reloads. And then the permissions thing will happen. So I was kind of pumped when I saw this little extension, and I don't know how it's piggybacking on top of I don't even think you need to have the GraphQL app installed, although I should test that. I think it just somehow piggybacks on top of the thing, and I got to see how it works because.
Yeah, how does it authenticate?
Yeah, I have no idea. The more I think about it, the more
just
I think
works
about
magically.
Yeah, he might be a Russian hacker or something like that, getting into my system.
Might be. Collecting those keys, baby.
If I was a Russian hacker, I'd go with a name like Fabian, try to throw him off my
Definitely.
channel. I'm not going to use a name like Vladimir, dude. That'll scare people off. So, anyways, I haven't actually started using the app. Like, I used it.
Oh, okay.
Like
Don't have your keys yet.
Like I installed it and I like tested it, you know? But then I just realized today, I was like, I haven't used this once since I like tested it, because I have so much muscle memory into using the GraphQL app, even though it like is so slow, that I just always use that, even though now I have this better option, but I haven't gotten used to using the better option yet. So
I'll have to check that out. I always just go back to my Postman and like copy and paste an existing one and then modify from there.
Right. I use Postman too, but it's just so annoying, dude. I did again today. I duplicated some requests, and then the duplicated version was not the thing I duplicated. It was like,
whoops.
God, I hate Postman so much.
I always forget to save, so I do a bunch of stuff, and then it's like, oh, lost all of that.
Yeah. It's bad news. Dev environment sync. I did a little bit of research on this.
We need it.
We need it, right? And I had to do some stuff. Well, I had to test my cart transform for performance on this B2B store that was like, I needed to test on like 100 line items. And I went in and started adding to cart, but the products I was adding to cart didn't have the meta fields they needed in order to trigger the calculations in the cart transform. So it was like a useless test. So then I was like, okay, I got to go set meta fields on 100 products. I was like, dude, I need a sync.
Bring all those things over.
I need to sync it over.
Keys will be the same, but the GIDs won't. So what's going to happen there?
Yep.
Solve this problem for me.
This dude on LinkedIn, he said he worked on it that day, and he had it's linked up a GitHub repository that did the metafield reference handling. And I took a quick peek at it. I haven't run it or anything like that, but I think it tries to solve the reference situation, which is kind of cool.
Okay.
So I'll have to take a look at that. But some people use rewind staging, which I don't know if I guess it does exist, because one guy said he used it. I Googled it, rewind staging, and somebody said it was an app, like a separate app on top of rewind, but it's not. There's not a separate app. Rewind's the only app. So I think it's a feature you can enable within rewind, but I couldn't find really good info. I think I'd need to do a demo, which I don't really believe in doing demos.
Jetpack.
Yeah.
Just show me, give me a video, or else I'm out.
Yeah. I'm not into that. But apparently it might, it's literally, that's what it does. It's even named rewind staging because it syncs up your staging environment. So I really probably
it seems possible. It's just like, Shopify doesn't seem like they're focused on it, but maybe there's an app that can do it.
Yeah. I would totally build this as an app, by the way, if you need this on some kind of a payment basis. I'll build it out.
Can I pay you $5 a month?
Let's make it.
That's all my budget for apps.
Let's make it 7, and I'll do it this weekend. Dude, now I can see how you are with these app vendors, dude. You just chop them off at the knees, man.
Hey, I pay for some apps, all right?
Yeah.
Not that many, though.
Yeah. But yeah, I
always feel like I'm always scared to like install more apps.
Right.
I don't know.
I would like to work on this if I could find an excuse to work on it. But then, somebody else said, well, what you should do is just have your ERP sync to your dev environment. And I was like, which actually in this case would work because it's the NetSuite thing. You could have NetSuite Sandbox sync into dev.
Yeah.
But, for one, because of the iPaaS usage charges, they're wanting to use that iPaaS as minimally as humanly possible. So that's sort of an issue.
Yep.
Secondly, NetSuite Sandbox is all out of date. Everything's a mess in there.
Yep.
So,
Oh man, NetSuite is annoying me this week because we got like they're changing this. They're changing their suite analytics endpoint to be something completely different, and this is going to take like 3 months of my life.
dang.
And I feel like I just need to like blow up our data pipeline and do something completely new out of Shopify instead.
That's crazy. What is Suite Analytics?
It's the dumb name that they give like the ODBC connector to their internal data warehouse.
Oh,
So like
okay.
we have it where NetSuite gets the data, Fivetran gets the data out of NetSuite and loads it into BigQuery. And then on top of BigQuery, there's this thing called dbt that transforms all that stuff into new tables that are actually useful. And the NetSuite layer of this, so like 4 layers deep, is like deprecating the current way that we connect. And so like I gotta blow stuff up anyway, and if we're at this, I might just like change how everything happens for our reporting,
Right.
which is going to be a bit of a project.
Right. That sounds rough.
It'll be fine.
Well, may the force be with you.
Thank you, sir.
I think that's a good note to end on. I do have 3 more things on the list, but
Whoa, make good progress though.
I know we made some solid progress. We moved swiftly through it.
What was the title of this? Mutate and Dip.
Nice. So I think the pen and paper situation worked.
Yeah. No, that was good. I secretly had it